Fire it up, footballers. Welcome to this special edition Chicago Fire podcast live stream here on Sunday, 41 days before the season begins. Thanks for joining us here on Spitfire, everybody, as you trickle in, and whether you're live or watching after the fact. Really appreciate you taking the time to watch and kick that like button. Subscribe to Spitfire, hit that bell icon to get notified of our live streams. Also, you can share the video with others and get them talking about Chicago Fire, MLS, soccer, Shaqiri. We'll get into all of it. Is Shaqiri in camp? What's going on there? Other sorts of drama around the club. But before we get into that, guys, if you could take a moment and consider, once again, helping to contribute to ending food hunger and food insecurity in Chicago. We greatly appreciate it. We've smashed it out of the park these last few years. It's been incredible. True Marty Party, one of the main pushers of this, one of the main creators of this awesome little thing that the Chicago Fire fans and family all contribute to. But happy Saturday, CF97 Familia, as the guys get to work in Cancun. We too can stay busy. Consider donating to the Fire for Food drive today. Hashtag Fire for Food. We absolutely knocked it out of the park last year. I think we hit over 20,000 before the season even ended. We hit 10 grand before the season even started. It was incredible what we did. We blew up our goals apart. So let's do that again this year. Let's start off on the right foot. Fire for Food 2023 already at 300. Let's see what kind of damage we can do to this before the season even begins. 41 days out. Appreciate if you guys can can throw a couple bucks there. Every dollar counts. $1 buys up to 3 meals. Helps solve for food insecurity for food hungry families in Chicago. Helps our local community. Greatly appreciate it if you're able to, or even if you're not able to share this, to take the time and share this with others. And if maybe they're able to toss a couple bucks. I know it's hard times for everybody. I know dollars are getting stretched thinner and thinner nowadays, but it's the same way for everybody. And what we can do for it and help out people, it's truly an incredible thing if we are able to, and if we're in that position, if we're so lucky. But so guys, appreciate that. Moving on to the next, let's get into Chicago Fire 2023 MLS season predictions. What do you guys think is going to happen? Comment below. What do you think the Fire are going to do this season? Where do you think they're going to finish? They're going to be in the top half of the MLS table, or are they going to do the bottom half, just like they have been over the past few years? Are they going to make the playoffs for the first time since 2017, or is it going to be another miss? Chicago Fire tweeting out these cool pictures from training. Chicos and some of the lads. Shaqiri, there he is, the man, number 10. Look at that. Navarro sporting the blonde hair. The lads. Is that Spencer Ritchie? Or is that Brady? That goalkeeper. Well, we'll find out soon enough. I don't recognize him quite yet, but over time we will. Kriegs already at SeatGeek. If only Kriegs. That's great. First. That's awesome, Kriegs. Love to see it. But of course, we know they're playing at Soldier Field. I did see that there is construction taking place on that city walk that Chicago Fire were rumored to be involved in, the soccer field in that project. Might have a tweet about that later. I'm not sure. Brian Sandoval saying selling players to Premier League clubs is a good thing. Selling players to Premier League clubs and winning matches is much better. Totally agree with the sentiment from Brian Sandoval. Model MLS franchises can sell players to European clubs and win matches. Under owner Joe Mansueto, sporting director Georg Heitz, and technical director Sebastian Pelzer, the Fire haven't struck that balance. The sale Tuesday of striker John Duran to Aston Villa was the Fire's second straight 8-figure transaction with an English Premier League team in the last year, after goalkeeper Gabriel Slonina's move to Chelsea. In 2021, the team sent winger Przemysław Frankowski to French side RC Lens, granting the Polish attacker an opportunity in another of Europe's biggest leagues. While those deals are strong signs for player development and scouting, they need to be complemented by capable replacements and progress on the field. The Fire must find a new striker after Kasper Przybylko swung and missed, especially after having an underwhelming 22 season. They're hoping Chris Brady can play at least as well as Gaga Slonina did a year ago. They still lack anybody with Frankowski's pace. More importantly, the Fire aren't selling players off successful teams. The 2021 season ended with an interim coach after the dismissal of Rafael Wicki, and 2022 concluded with intensifying questions about the on-field direction of the franchise under Mansueto, Heitz, and Pelzer. As the Fire begin 2023, they'll again be trying to pair development and victories. It's a tricky situation, but it's not a bad situation to be in, Coach Ezra Hendrickson said. It means that people are looking at your players. And it means that your recruiting department is doing a good job finding players, whether it be from abroad or within homegrowns, as we saw with Gaga and Duran. These departures seemed inevitable before they left. Duran was a sought-after prospect with a big name before joining the Fire from Colombia, and Slonina emerged as perhaps the world's most promising young goalie, soon after becoming the club's starter back in 2021. Cashing in on them was the right move for the players and the Fire. Outside of consistently losing, one of the worst things MLS teams can do is hold on players and hold them back from bigger stages and fatter paychecks abroad. Even with its recent growth and improvement, MLS is still notches below the top leagues in Europe and not a destination for the best players. Yet, those sales can be considered untainted positives. Because of Mansueto's finances, the Fire aren't hurting for money, and the team can use a portion of the move's proceeds towards the roster. The biggest recent purchases, Xherdan Shaqiri and Jairo Torres, did not live up to expectations in 2022. I disagree with that. I think that Xherdan Shaqiri did live up to expectations. I think that you knew he was going to miss game time as he was preparing for the World Cup. I think that you got a lot of great production out of Xherdan Shaqiri from the goals and the assist department. Yes, there were times where he quit in games and pulled himself out, but this guy was trying to stay healthy and fit for the World Cup, and we saw why. They made it to the round of 16, and one of the reasons why was because of Xherdan, the play, and the captaincy of Xherdan Shaqiri. So I do think the Chicago Fire, he might not have lived up to expectations of making the playoffs, but I think that Xherdan Shaqiri actually more than met the expectations of a player. I mean, he produced more than Gareth Bale, albeit Gareth Bale produced in the biggest moment in the biggest game, which was the MLS Cup, and scoring the game-winning goal in that before retiring after the World Cup. You guys didn't know Gareth Bale has retired from all soccer. Just catch him on the golf course now. But back to Jairo Torres, I agree that he has not lived up to expectations. There's a lot on the shoulders of Jairo Torres. I think it's going to be a lot easier for Xherdan Shaqiri to pick it up and go back and really dispel some of these notions that we're seeing here. But Jairo Torres has a lot bigger of a hill to climb than Xherdan Shaqiri, as he has not lived up to expectations in 2022. And Heitz and Pelzer, they don't exactly have a bad track record that would instill confidence for any such future acquisitions paying off. However, guess who did pay off? John Jader Duran, to the tune of 18 to 22 million. With Mansueto, Heitz, and Pelzer in charge, the Fire clearly have tried to win. Selling Slonina, Duran, and Frankowski isn't a sign of a franchise that is interested in just pocketing cash. It's a reality in the world of soccer, in the world of MLS more so. It's also a reality that the Fire need to win after over a decade of struggles, a decade of indifference to the soccer fans of Chicago, who are begging for a winner, who are begging for a spectacle, begging for a reason to go watch Chicago Fire soccer. Making money off young players can't be the Chicago Fire's only victories. They got to do more on the field with the fans of Chicago. Let us know if you agree in the comments below what you think can be done. We've got to make sure that we remain competitive and we are still able to operate as a business, a profiting business, Hendrickson said. Chat, I gotta take a pause here for a moment. Back. On to the next story. Fun with Schmantillion. That's, of course, True Marty Party. More fun with numbers. In addition to the 2.1 in GAM from the John Jader, Duran, and Gago Slonina deals, the CF97 Chicago Fire have also amassed quite a bit of salary cap space in the last few weeks. I mean, Ivanov alleviated 300K, Duran alleviated 100K, Boris Sekulic alleviated 600K, Bornstein alleviated 300K. Bornstein, of course, may be stepping into a little bit of a situation in Honduras. The team that he signed for was one of the players tweeted out when it was reported that when Bornstein signed, well, hey, does this mean we're going to get paid now? So questionable signs for the team that Bornstein just signed for over in Honduras, concerning. Meanwhile, back to the Schmantillion tweet. Andre alleviated 90K. 2023 sees the addition of 2.72 in TAM for each club. Funny money. None of their arrivals have required a transfer fee. Suket, Gal, Dean, Hal Selassie, and should not hit much above the senior minimum. Chicago Fire have enough flexibility for 3 quality additions and a DP. That's huge. Chicago Fire have enough flexibility for 3 quality additions and a DP. Will it happen before summer? You tell me. Marty also mentioning that because Duran was acquired for less than 2.5 as a U22 initiative player, 1.05 million is converted to GAM. For Gaga, the same amount is convertible. That means Chicago Fire just gained over 2 million in GAM, which is going to help them pay down the contracts of other players and hopefully bring in a couple of other quality players here. But the transfer window is weeks away from shutting, the January transfer window, that is. The MLS transfer window, I think, remains open beyond that, at least open to the beginning of the season. However, the next window is that will kind of coincide for both will be summer. Will we see a big name DP arrive then after their supposed European season has ended? And maybe they arrive for a deep run for Chicago Fire in the playoffs? Let us know what player you think could arrive as a DP in the comments below in summer. And if there are certain players we should maybe target right now for cheaper. We, of course, had reported that Wee Joe was a rumored transfer prospect in one of our recent videos. You can check that out here on Spit and Fire YouTube. Greatly appreciate you guys. Kick that like button. I'm not saying random Chicago Fire player of the day, Corey Gibbs. Whoa. Hey. On. The Cooligan saying make money or make the playoffs. What should be the priority of the Chicago Fire? Let me know in the comments. What should be the priority? Should the priority of Joe Mansueto be to make money with selling players, or should it be to win for the fans? Let's hear what the Cooligans have to say.
My main concern here, happy for the young man. I think he's going to do well.
How could you have a concern?
My concern here is for the Chicago Fire. They've been awful the last couple years. They haven't made the playoffs. When's the last time they made the playoffs?
Who cares? They making money. They ain't gonna get relegated.
My main concern here.
They're not going to get relegated. They brought up some points. Let us know in the comments below how you feel. Would you guys rather be making these big money deals, selling big players to big name clubs, and then getting excited about being able to watch Aston Villa and Chelsea and see what some of our Chicago Fire players can do, and look at our club as kind of a feeder club, a college feeder club to the big boys? Or would you rather see Chicago Fire have some success in MLS? Maybe win an MLS Cup, not just a US Open Cup, but an MLS Cup. Leanne is saying, years in the making, my first look behind the scenes at North American Community Center opening in February, which will be home to Chicago Fire and Chicago Fire Found community soccer programs. Take a look at this. Intentional sports. There's the field, little baseball field right there. Yeah. Interesting. Very cool. Ruben Tish reported that meanwhile, the League Cup groups are out, and Fire gets Puebla and Minnesota United. Let's take a look at that. So the Leagues Cup, we're going to be playing with Minnesota United and Puebla in the Leagues Cup. We can take a look at those games, and it could be fun and exciting there. Maybe that I'm excited about that. Maybe a little bit. I find myself excited right now about that. Maybe Chicago Fire can make a little noise in these tournaments, because in the league it seems less so like we're going to have ability. The Chicago Fire will have the ability to make some noise, but maybe in these tournaments they can find a way. On with another random Chicago Fire player of the day. This time it's John Bush. Take a look. Goalkeeper. Johnny Bush. Spantillion tweeting out Chico's first on the training pitch. Now that's leadership. The people asking where's Shakir, he's here. He was there. We saw pictures. Connor with the thought of the day: the Chicago Fire should take a punt and sign Roberto Firmino of Liverpool. Great movement, excellent tactical move, and above all, he could score some great goals. If not Chicho, give Bobby a call. Maybe a solid name that people in Chicago soccer fans are familiar with too, as he's had great success with Liverpool and Jurgen Klopp. So maybe there's a lot of familiarity, big enough name, and also his attacking style of play might link up great with Shaqiri and cause problems for MLS teams. What do you guys think? Would you guys like to bring in Roberto Firmino or Cristiano Ronaldo? You had your choice. Cristiano Ronaldo, Roberto Firmino, or Olivier Giroud. We could toss him up there. Who are you picking out of those three? Money's not an object. What fits into this team of Chicago Fire the best? What will bring in fans? What will make the players respond? And what will make winning soccer happen? Is that Cristiano? Is that Firmino? Is that Giroud? You tell me in the comments. Greatly appreciate it. Can't wait to read them. Todd Bogart saying MLS allocation order is no longer in effect due to St. Louis City losing out on the asset that was the top spot in the allocation order. They will retain first refusal over one player of their choosing who was on the allocation ranking list. But other than that, it's gone. The allocation order. What's next? What if FC Cincinnati killed the allocation order? Don Bogart asks. With the number one spot in the allocation order this year, FC Cincinnati acquired $350K GAM in 3 trades to move from number 1 to number 2 and signed Miazga. In FCC's expansion season, they threw in the number 1 spot on top of $300K ZAM in a trade for Nick Haglund. So they just like, whoo. Interesting. Make it make sense, Tom, says Phil West. The real allocation order was the friends we lost along the way, trying to explain the allocation order. Fantastic. This is a reaction from fans, of course. I think we can call this allocation disorder. I'll see myself out. A great day for MLS's tactical manager. Progress, says MLS now. Bob Williams saying, so what does this mean for the MLS podcast allocation disorder? Glad there is no logical reason San Jose should have needed to send St. Louis anything for Guaizo. He played for Dallas and they got a transfer fee before St. Louis had even announced a possible franchise. Alan saying, so LAFC had someone they wanted to get but didn't want to go through the allocation order? Steve saying, we're getting to the real point. Are the U.S. billionaires ready to bid for the best talent to make MLS relevant, or to be happy to continue to be minor leaguers? The fans need to see better soccer in order to be interested in the MLS. The alternative is on TV. There's a lot of truth to what Steve's saying. The alternative is on TV. The alternative is very available to all these fans. Premiership was on this morning. Watching Premiership. Gonna watch Premiership, and then Premiership's over. We're gonna go watch NFL playoffs. Where does the MLS fit in? Well, the MLS isn't playing right now. First off, they're starting preseason. Right now they're in preseason form over in Cancun, or at least for Chicago Fire, that is, and other teams, of course, all about the world. getting ready for the MLS 22-23. But what needs to be done to make MLS more interesting to fans in USA and across the nation and across the world? Does that mean bringing in bigger names, bigger, better talent? You know what? Who brought? I think so, because guess what happened when Gareth Bale arrived? A lot of people's heads just went like that. You bring Messi over, and a lot of people's heads are going to be like, they don't even need the finger. They're going to be like, Messi. If you brought Ronaldo. Giroud, it's going to be like, Giroud. Firmino's going to be like, that's going to be the Firmino experience. If he's on Chicago Fire, you'll turn, you'll doing a little something, back to Europe. Oh, a little something from Firmino, maybe Chicago Fire, back to Europe. Maybe a little something longer from Chicago Fire, back to Europe. Chicago Fire, maybe they make the playoffs, maybe they do better. But what is a big name player that changes up this squad, that changes up this roster composition, that makes this team a winner? Because Shaqiri is not enough to put this team over the top. They need one more stud. Who is that stud? Let us know in the comments. Jonathan Tannenwald saying, I missed this when Doug McIntyre reported it last week, and I see Sam has separately confirmed it today. Claudio Reyna previously tried to influence then U.S. Under-17 national team head coach Rafa Wicki regarding his treatment of Gio at the 2019 U17 World Cup. Rafa Wicki running with Claudio Reyna. Issues with parents, entitled parents in this case, and the U.S. men's national soccer team and the U.S. youth national soccer teams. Tweet Thorne saying, this hit me like a ton of bricks. And probably will again. For now, the Site founder and Ruben Tish are planning an Irish wake to honor the fact it happened at all. No details yet outside of the fact that something will happen to celebrate the work, times, and joy of Hot Time in Old Town. Rest in peace, Hot Time in Old Town. Great little Chicago Fire syndicate. They always produce great little, to me, they were the vibe of the club. They were almost more reliable than some of these than the people who are paid higher money to create, to write for Chicago Fire. I mean, they just made more content. There was more of them. There's only one person on some of these other places for staff writers, right? But it was just like, it felt like the lifeblood of fandom, of community, of what I would read to you guys would read, we'd banter about. Not everything would come out in the stories from Brian Sandolau and Oren Schwartz and Danny Santaramita and Danny Mahalik and Guillermo. Not everything would come out in those things. Some things would come out from Jiggly and Adnan and Ruben Tish and all the James Bridget Gordon and all the various characters that were over at Hot Time in Old Town. And to me, it was a great thing. I enjoyed it. I think I've posted one or two things there in the past. It's like guest posts on the side, not like as the Hot Time people, but they have guest post areas too. So, it's just been, so it's sad to see them go. However, guys, I'm not surprised. I'll tell you this, as a Chicago Fire content creator, it's hard to make Chicago Fire content. The clicks don't seem to be there sometimes. The interest doesn't seem to be there, and it's not your fault. The viewer, the fan, for not clicking or not feeling compelled to click on the Chicago Fire media, because to you it's like, I'm in the same boat. Do I really want to read the same old story of the Chicago Fire just being pathetically behind the times again, and it just felt like you're just reading the same thing. Well, that's also part of the reason why we started this podcast, so we could liven that up and change the way people, you know, kind of interact with the news, and think that we all get hung up on. Yeah, the news can be turds sometimes, but the fact of the matter is, the Chicago Fire media is not. They are bringing us content and everything we need that keeps this club relevant, that keeps this club in the presses, that gets people talking about this club. And if we aren't clicking it and supporting it, it doesn't become logical sense to do anymore. And it like, yeah, on a one sense, like, oh yeah, the heart's there, but the payoff, and the payoff is not just in money, guys. With media, I don't get paid shit for this on YouTube, and I know from hearing from other writers, they don't make a lot of money as well. They do a lot of this out of passion, but they'll make at least enough to survive, right? I do not make that at all here on this at all. I did make nothing. But it's hard to justify the time, the output for that little payoff. And it's like I said, it's not just in the dollars, but it's in the rewarding feeling you get from helping inform others, because that's what these media people are doing. Brian has a passion for Chicago Fire, and he likes to share their successes, their woes, their narrative with us, the fans, and the greater audience of the world. And because there's something there in his eyes, in our eyes, in my eyes. That's why I have this channel. It's based around talking about Chicago Fire initially, and I've expanded it to talk about other things, including myths, legends, other sports, video games, stuff like that. We have an awesome talk about Atlantis in our last live stream, and then we have a nice little video coming out about that. So cool. We love talking about that stuff, but that's because the rewarding feeling from producing Chicago Fire content stopped being there at a certain point, because a lot of fans stopped coming. They grew tired. The message grew stale to them. So I can't blame them for leaving. And I can only thank all of you guys for sticking in there and hanging in there with us here at Spit and Fire, and hanging in with the Chicago Fire or the MLS or whatever MLS TV support. And it's hard to do it when people, I can see the statistic, and I see people, the interest in the Fire versus 2017 is smaller. There's less people interested in Chicago Fire right now than there were in 2017. And there weren't a lot of people interested in the Chicago Fire in 2017, albeit they had their best year in attendance that year, because that's coincided with Bastian Schweinsteiger doing well, them making the playoffs, getting kicked out in the first round, and then never really having success after that. Stuff needs to change. And stuff needs to change to make fans care, because this apathy, this brand apathy is kind of stuck here, guys. And the funny thing is, the Chicago Fire tried to do something about that. They tried to rebrand. They tried to become something else than the Chicago Fire. And a lot of fans stepped up and said, no, we don't want it. But then all those fans disappeared again. Like, all those fans who said no, they've all gone away. And it's not that they've left, it's just like they aren't interested in the product. And who can blame them? 11th place for the second year in a row, just out of the wooden spoon contention. Lack of continuity in places, lack of success, playing in a largely empty Soldier Field. Some of it feels so hollow that it's hard to get fans to buy in. However, it's fixable. I mean, I don't know how it's fixable, but it is fixable. I mean, Seattle, they landed on their feet, guys. Chicago Fire have not landed. They thought they landed on their feet, but in our first season, but after we landed on our feet, fell right back on our backs and our asses into the water, and we have yet to get ourselves out. Yeah, we have an owner who's like trying to pull himself out of the muck, but he's fighting against cemented mud that has been caked in for decades and made the muscles have atrophied you need more than just your Chicago Fire's own weight to do something out of this. They need the weight of another club to bring them out of this. And that's where I just came up with the idea of Manchester United. Manchester United, I've always linked Chicago Fire and Manchester United, but if Chicago Fire and Manchester United could figure out some type of partnership, or Chicago Fire could figure that out with Liverpool or Southampton, some English Premiership club, maybe or a top 5 flight club, right? Italy, France, Spain, but figure out some sort of partnership with those clubs in the similar way that New York City NYCFC is with the City franchise. Well, they're both owned by City, guys. New York City FC and Manchester City owned by the same entity, part of the same entity. And because that makes players going back and forth between the clubs a little bit easier for those clubs to make happen than it is for outside clubs. I think that Chicago Fire, in order for them to get out of this, they need help. They need something like this. I tweeted something like this because I felt like this explained yeah, that's what I said. Ignore these funny weird tweets of society before that and what's crazy about society. But so see this picture of Sounders helping up Atlanta. That's how I envisioned Garth Lagerwey going to Atlanta. So Seattle Sounders already on top. Atlanta was came in as a top team, floundered a little bit, and here's Seattle Sounders saying, we got your back. Let's get you back up to the top with Garth Lagerwey. Chicago Fire need their helping hand. Who do you think can provide that type of helping hand? Let me know in the comments below. Curious to see. I think a team like Manchester United forming some sort of relationship, some sort of bond there would greatly contribute to Chicago Fire having success and maybe even generating more interest with Chicago fans. A team like, Juventus. Juventus is embroiled in some sort of issue where they just got docked 15 points. They're out of the running for their league. They're having some issue, but even a team like Juventus, because they are a big name, that would draw interest from Chicago Fire fans and from Chicago soccer fans. If there were some sort of connection to Europe, I think that would generate more interest. And yes, here's the funny thing. The Chicago Fire already have that link. I know some of you are seeing or commenting right now. You're in the comments. Oh, what about FC Lugano? Oh, what about FC Lugano? Yeah, well, what about FC Lugano, guys? Tell me, is that doing anything for you? Is that doing anything for the Chicago soccer fan? That relationship? It's not. But you know what would? Get a few, make a few responses, get a few reactions, get a few people eyes turned to Soldier Field and to wanting to go see Chicago Fire. Oh, if there was connections, it was stakes connected to Arsenal, Manchester United, what have you. One of those teams. Chicago had a loan from them, maybe a key loanee from them, and you get to see one of the key up-and-comers for Arsenal for a season or two, or for Manchester United for a season or two with Chicago Fire, and helping to contribute to their success here at Chicago Fire, and then going on to contribute to the success at Manchester United or European club like that, of that temperament. I think that would generate interest. Chicago Fire executives, think about that. Try and figure out a way that you can get some sort of Manchester City like and New York City like cohesive relationship. It doesn't need to be outright ownership, right? Because you guys already have that with Lugano, but I'm telling you, that is not interesting to the soccer fans of Chicago. What is English Premiership. What is Spanish La Liga. What is AC Milan and Serie A. I mean, even the German leagues and the French leagues as well. If you had connections to one of those top flights in one of those teams, as not a feeder club. See, like you're an in-between. Take out the feeder club. That's what Lugano is. Lugano is the feeder club. You're the in-betweener club. Lugano is the feeder club. Chicago Fire is the in-betweener club. And then there's the big boys. Because we got to recognize our place. Chicago Fire is not going to be Bayern Munich. Chicago Fire is not going to be Real Madrid or Manchester United ever. Get that out of your heads. But what it can be is Chicago Fire, recognizable on its own merits. And far more recognizable than more clubs, than a lot of clubs around the world that you've never heard of. Because they have connections to some of the great clubs, like Manchester United, for instance. My little thought bubble. What team do you think that Chicago Fire should form a relationship with to start this type of cohesive bond that might generate fan interest? Let us know in the comments below. Move on to... So, the layoffs have begun at hot time. Hopefully, all the people can land on their feet and kick butt and keep on producing soccer stuff. And wouldn't mind talking to any of the hot time old people here on the show. They're always welcome. Slide into the Discord or into the live chat. Men in Red say it's so damn perfect. Make it happen. Who is this? Chico Arango? I'm not entirely sure who that is. It might be Chico Arango. Fire even saw the Shaqiri discourse on the hashtag the last few days and made sure to put an end to it. There he is, the main man himself from the World Cup. Dude, he's a baller. Dude, he's a baller. He's a baller. He's a fucking baller. Let's go, Jordan. Let's go dominate this season. Kevin Thomas saying Shaq reporting 4 days later than the rest team is not the end of the world, especially while he's doing media access with the league during that stretch. I mean, please. We have plenty of stuff to be rightfully worried about. We don't need to find more reasons. Totally agree with Kevin Thomas's assessment of the Shaqiri situation here. Let's RELAX. Calm down. Relax. Shaqiri's here. He's at least here for the half season. And if there's success, I think he'll stay for the rest. Adnan, random Chicago Fire player of the day is John Thornton, the GM of LAFC. John Thornton, I've seen this guy score goals for Chicago Fire. I've seen this guy score goals live, in person. Fun Chicago Fire player. And some Marty tweets. Random Chicago Fire player of the day, Dax. Pre-tax McCarty. Dax still doing it for Nashville too, guys. And here I was saying he's too old to do it. He's too old to be as part of a successful starting midfield. Look at him say, fuck you, spitting fire. I am still a starter in MLS. Fuck you. And he's fucking right. Sorry, Dax. Have to eat crow on that one. Still a great player, still a good to great player in MLS, and one of the better teams in MLS, and definitely in it, and have potential of championship aspirations this season over in Nashville. Look at that. Bastian Schweinsteiger. Classic. So good. That team, guys. That team with a different coach that isn't Paunovic. That team with Ezra Hendrickson, I bet you, is maybe even better than that team. I wonder. Maybe not. Caleb Porter would definitely get a lot of that out of Dax McCarty and Bastian Schweinsteiger, I think. Giancarlo Chin saying, can't wait for that Chicago Fire season to start. 41 days. 41 days. Noah saying, interesting. Viago said, if I send you one of these 4 under 23 talents that I don't need right now, will you notice Alan Rodriguez? Thought that there was a comment here about Alan. And it was from a Chicago Fire fan saying, I don't know about that. Maybe. Dago saying, if after cashing in $37 million in transfer fees, they don't go and spend big in a couple of impact players, big red flag for this front office moving forward. We need to see ambition to win now. Otherwise, Mansueto and company are taking a few Fire fans that are left for granted. I'm going to open up Discord as I see FC Neo Tokyo sliding in. Just talking a little quick Chicago Fire podcast. FC Neo Tokyo said, I'd take Dax over Gaston at this point. 41 days. So we going with DPG? I don't know yet. Do not count me in on anything at all quite yet. As too far out. Stuff to plan with the misses. And what day is that? Let's find out. Chicago Fire schedule. Schedule. The shootle. This March date. Let's go to the schedule. Go beyond the regular season right here. March 4th, New York City at Soldier Field. 7:30 p.m. 7:30 on March 4th. Not even at noon. Not even during the daylight. What? I got, first off, March 4th, is that a Saturday? March 4th is a Saturday. March 11th is a Saturday. March 18th is a Saturday. March 25th is a Saturday. April 1st is a Saturday. April 8th is a Saturday. Look at all, dude. The schedule is awesome. The schedule's awesome. Chicago Fire play every Saturday for the first 2 months. That's it. They're always there. Saturday. Sometime on Saturday. I'm liking the MLS Apple TV deal already for that reason of scheduling. Will we be going to opening day with DPG? I don't know. I have to talk that over with Mrs. Spitfire. I got the Discord open, but I'm in the process of the last few bits of Chicago Fire news and was going to be closing down stream here shortly, unless you hop on. With the front office, with this front office, I'm doubting we even get half that. They've not been great at getting deals across the line in crunch time as far as bringing in players to the club. We have 2 right backs, a CDM, and a right wing of questionable quality, and we've shown we're allergic to spending money. I'm not exactly getting my hopes up. Marty says left back next week, DP striker before the Euro window closes. What U222 striker? See, Marty suggesting maybe a left back next week, maybe a DP striker before the window closes. Let us know who you think that might be in the comments. Potential European striker coming through. A lot of press boxes next year will have no broadcasters. They'll be remote. No dedicated independent website reporters. SB Nation is dead, what we were just talking about with Hot Time in Old Town. And some won't have a local paper or local news crew either. Will there be anyone at all in the press box? This one's interesting. MLS makes $2.5 billion deal with Apple. 2/3 of the broadcasters are laid off. MLS owners are paying $300 million for expansion teams. DP players are earning millions. Transfer fees topping 20 mil. But writers making $300 a month are getting fired. What the fuck is this ecosystem? I think that is something that is very concerning. I think that's a very concerning indicator for MLS, in my opinion. Gone from ESPN now, no longer on ESPN. Imprint and the impact of soccer has less impact with the disappearance of SB Nation and places like Hot Time in Old Town. As to me, they were almost like a lifeblood of the club. Another place besides Twitter where you could go and banter with fellow fans. Besides Reddit. I don't know what needs to be done. I don't know what needs to be changed, but there is something wrong in the MLS ecosystem, and I agree. The money does not measure out with the level of interest. Ponzi. Charles Ponzi. Interesting. Interesting character. MLS makes 2.5 million deal. Look at that. Billion with Apple. But 2/3 of the broadcasters are laid off. What is this money going to? MLS owners are paying $300 million for expansion teams. Beckham got his for $25 million chips because he was offered a deal way back when. Does any of this smell right to you? Soccer insights for MLS do not get enough clicks or interest to warrant keeping them around. The main ones. Yet MLS makes a deal for $2.5 billion with Apple. It just doesn't make sense. There's something that doesn't add up here. And also, I mean, I can see the interest in Chicago Fire growing smaller and smaller and smaller. Is that happening at other clubs and other places? I wonder. Ooh, I don't know. Maybe Tokyo saying possibly some gaming later. Maybe I was just doing a quick little Chicago Fire podcast, and then I'll have to reassess what the plan is later because I got Mrs. Spit and Fire, and there's playoff football. Who are you guys picking to win the NFL playoffs? Got 2 games left today. We had two good games yesterday. We got the Bengals and the Bills today at 2 o'clock. Cowboys and the Niners at 5:30. And yesterday, the Eagles just whomped the Giants. And the Chiefs controlled the game against the Jaguars. But, man, Mahomes looked like he broke his leg there for a second. But he actually just had a serious sprain and was able to continue playing. It's truly incredible. Tokyo saying the original owner's still mad that they had a few years in the red. So now they're vampires on what could be investment. Ottman, gone. Some of those new owners, though, some of those old owners still here. Something doesn't smell right here. This doesn't make sense. I look at European sites for soccer, and the interest is there. The clicks are there. The same thing is there for football and fantasy football. Like, those things get clicks. MLS is not getting clicks. I mean, I wonder what the MLS Reddit's interactions are compared to other Reddits. Similar other league Reddits. All right, so let's go. MLS Reddit, 678 on MLS Reddit. Now let's go to EPL. English Premier. Is there no EPL league? EPL Reddit. All right, check that one out. So 697 for MLS, 2.8K for English Premier League. Okay, now let's go to La Liga. Oh my gosh. La Liga is going to blow your mind. Maybe this is just because it's English users. English speaking users. 68 on La Liga. Is there a Spanish Reddit? Let's see. Spanish. Yeah, that's what I want to know. Is there a Spanish Portuguese Reddit? Let's go to Taringa. Taringa and La Liga. See if there's some sort of thing here. La Liga. Taringa. No? Spanish Facebook. No, they don't have a... I don't think there is a Spanish Reddit. Unless I'm wrong. La Liga? La Liga? Or Real Madrid. I mean... Oh, that's another one. So let's go to Real Madrid. So 68 for La Liga. And give me Real Madrid. Soccer 51K in soccer. Don't have an R for Real Madrid? Yes, they do. Yes, the R for Real Madrid. Here it is. Drum roll. Holy shit. 716. Remember, there was only 68 for La Liga. 716 for Real Madrid. 680 for MLS. So not bad. I guess we're competing with Real Madrid, right? Could be worse. Chat, I think that's gonna do it for this stream. Greatly appreciate you stopping by, getting ready for the season 2023 MLS Chicago Fire. Starting the season at New York City against New York City FC at Soldier Field, 7:30 p.m. Maybe we'll see you there. Philadelphia versus Chicago. The next week, Chicago versus Cincinnati. The following, Miami versus Chicago. The following week, however, you also could be watching this from the comfort of your home for between $79 and $99 via MLS, the MLS game package by Apple Plus TV. Something to think about. $100, you get every ticket to every Chicago Fire game digitally, because you're going to be able to see it, watch there, get great insight, be warm, kept, eat your own nachos, right? Drink your own drinks, not to pay exorbitant prices for beer, and you also get a ticket to every other team in MLS for that cost. Something to think about. I like that. That $99, actually, that might generate interest in a way. Maybe, maybe not. Might be another precluding barrier for some fans to get in and they can't go watch their team. But hopefully they figure out a ways. Hopefully they have a few buddies and they can figure out, hey, we could split this. Right? Chat, thanks for joining us here on Spitfire. Kick that like button, comment below. Let us know what you think needs to change for Chicago Fire to get them successful in the eyes of Chicago soccer fans so they can earn their attention, their eyes, their money, and their butts in the seats. Let us know. Can't wait to read your comments. Thanks for joining us here on Spitfire. Kick that like button, hit that notification button, that bell icon to get notified of our live streams like this. We always stream every Wednesday, right around 7 p.m. Catch you guys next time. I'll see you guys later. Fire ballers. Let's go.